Another horrific killing as a result of police excessive force, and yet still no real political effort or appetite to take on actual police reform. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, you've probably already seen the video. 5 Memphis police officers beating an unarmed 29-year-old man, Tyre Nichols, and not just beating him, kicking him, punching him, pepper spraying him, tasing him, striking him with a police baton, beating unarmed Tyre dead. The medical examiner said that Tyre died from, quote, excessive bleeding caused by a severe beating, close quote. You know, on the video of those 5 Memphis police officers killing Tyre Nichols, you hear them yelling at Tyre to comply, while ironically, the officers themselves are not complying with anything that approaches proper police procedures, or for that matter, with anything that displays even a shred of humanity or concern for a fellow human being. And of course, we're already seeing endless headlines in the media. This from CNN. Video shows Tyre Nichols calling for his mother, beaten by officers now charged in his death. This from the New York Times. After Tyre Nichols' death, officials' moves reflect a shift in handling police violence. And even the federal prosecutors, the Department of Justice, acted swiftly. Here is part of a press release from the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee. Last week, we announced that the United States had opened a federal civil rights investigation into the circumstances leading to the tragic death of Tyre Nichols. The press release goes on to say the Department of Justice cares deeply about potential violations of constitutional rights. Now, friends, I'm glad that the Memphis Police Department acted swiftly to fire these 5 officers. I'm glad the Tennessee state authorities acted promptly to indict, to criminally charge these 5 officers with murder. And I'm glad the feds have jumped in to address the obvious violation of Tyre Nichols' constitutional rights. You actually see in that videotape those 5 police officers violate Tyre's Fourth Amendment rights. You know, the Fourth Amendment prohibits excessive force by police officers. The Fourth Amendment protects us all against unreasonable seizures. You know, most prosecutors and criminal defense attorneys can recite the Fourth Amendment off the top of their head. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Shall not be violated. And you saw on video those police officers violating Tyre's constitutional right against an unreasonable seizure, against excessive force. But you know, friends, the fact that the Memphis Police Department acted promptly, the Tennessee prosecutors acted promptly, the federal prosecutors acted promptly, that all must be cold comfort to the family of Tyre Nichols, to his friends, to his community, to all of us who care about our fellow man. And it really brings us back to a topic that we have talked about a lot in recent years, the need for police reform. You know, friends, I worked with a lot of police officers, and part of that is a product of the fact that I was a prosecutor in Washington, D.C., and there is a seemingly endless array of law enforcement organizations in D.C. So I worked closely with the local police, the Metropolitan Police Department, but I also worked with lots of federal law enforcement agencies, the FBI, the DEA, ATF, Park Police, Capitol Police, Secret Service Uniform Division, the U.S. Marshals Service, the Postal Police, the Amtrak Police, the Metro Police, the Smithsonian Police. You get the picture. And when I was an Army JAG, an Army prosecutor, I worked with the military police and the MPI, military police investigators, and the CID, the Criminal Investigation Division investigators. So yes, I worked with more police officers than I could ever count. And in my experience, most of them are in it for the right reasons. Most of them are there to protect and serve and do it honorably and fairly without bias or prejudice or hate. But as we know, there are far too many who are not in it for the right reasons. So friends, can we talk for just a few minutes about what I think has the greatest prospect of success when it comes to police reform? This is just one person's opinion, a former career prosecutor's opinion. There are some people who will say, you know, you need better training and you need to ban certain police tactics or certain police weapons. Like, for example, you need to ban chokeholds by police. And I think that can help really, but only around the edges. The reason I say that is because if you have bad police officers who are not in it to protect and serve fairly and honorably and in a way that is free of bias and prejudice and hate, then you can ban all the police procedures you want and you can train those people night and day. And if they still are in policing for the wrong reasons, because they love the power they have over their fellow citizens, they love the fact that they can stop your car, order you out of your car, put you on the ground, handcuff you, arrest you. There are some people who get a real rush at doing those kinds of things. They love the power that comes with a badge on their chest and a gun on their hip, and they wield that power often in ways that are horrifically discriminatory. You know, whether it is bias or prejudice or xenophobia or homophobia or misogyny, you know, hating anybody that is different. You can train those folk all you want. You can ban all sorts of tactics trying to stop those people from policing in the wrong way, and you're not going to succeed. Nobody trained Derek Chauvin that it was okay to put your knee on the neck of a citizen for 8 minutes and 46 seconds until he was dead. That's not a training issue. That's a hate issue. That's an abuse of power issue. So, in my opinion, the way you go about real police reform is by making sure that the people who apply to be police officers are the right people for the job. Think about this. We vote for people who then have some power and authority over our lives, right? We vote for our city council members. We vote for the mayor of our town. We vote for the governor of our state. We vote for representatives in Congress. We vote for senators. We vote for a president. And after those people are elected and they represent us, they can pass laws that then impact our lives. So we vote for people who will have the authority and the power to impact our lives by passing laws. But the people with the most direct power over us, with the most direct potential to impact our lives every minute of every day, are not our elected officials, they're police officers. because, my city council member, my governor, my senator can't pull my car over, can't order me out of the car, can't cuff me, can't arrest me, can't exercise force against me. But the police can. But we don't get to vote for the police. And because we don't get to vote for the police, maybe the citizens should have buy-in in another way over the people who will have the most direct power and authority over them every minute of every day. And that's why I think if we really care about police reform, we don't just ban a chokehold or a particular police weapon that they wear on their belt. I think what we do is when we are hiring police officers, we have extreme vetting of police officers with full citizen participation, right? You have the police, and then you have those being policed. You have the police, and then you have us, the citizens, we the people. Why shouldn't we get a direct say in who it is that will police us, who it is that will have that power over us? So, step one, extreme vetting with full citizen participation. That's not hard to set up. And when I say extreme vetting, I mean extreme vetting. I don't just mean deep dive interviews. I don't just mean polygraph examinations, lie detector tests. I don't just mean interviewing the friends and family of the person who wants to be a police officer, the person who wants the power of the badge and the gun. I don't just mean making sure that person doesn't have any hateful tattoos on their body. I mean that person should be an open book during the extreme vetting process. We all live these lives online now. And if somebody is hateful, prejudiced, xenophobic, misogynistic, homophobic, you're probably going to see some of that in their online presence, in their cyber world. So you want to apply to be a police officer, you want that badge and that gun, you want to be able to order me out of my car, then you should be an open book. We should be able to scour your online life, your social media posts to make sure that you actually are a human being who is driven by empathy and a concern for equal rights and decency. You want to protect and serve fairly and even-handedly, not hatefully and in a prejudice or biased manner. Not too much to ask for somebody who wants the awesome power and responsibility of a badge and a gun. Extreme vetting during the hiring process with full citizen participation. That's one way to keep hateful police officers from wearing a badge and carrying a gun. Part two, extreme testing and training. Frequent testing and training with full citizen participation. Build that relationship between the police and the people being policed. So you don't just get run through the academy and get put out on the street and then occasionally you have some updated training, you go to the range and qualify a couple of times a year. No, you train and you test and you train and you test and you train and you test until it becomes like muscle memory, the do's and don'ts of policing. And then part three is extreme accountability with full citizen participation. No 3 strikes and you're out, no 2 strikes and you're out, 1 strike when it comes to excessive force or serious police misconduct, and you're out. And you are barred from ever serving as a police officer anywhere, anytime, in any capacity. But I really think part one is the most important. It's the extreme vetting with full citizen participation, because moving forward we have to stop the wrong people from getting involved in police work, people who are in it for the wrong reasons. And I want to say it again, friends, because in my experience, 30 years as a prosecutor, most officers are in it for the right reasons. And I've seen officers serve with extraordinary empathy and decency and honor and fairness. I can't tell you how many times I've seen police officers reach out to people in need, to somebody who is drug addicted or homeless or in need of mental health help, And I've seen officers reach out their hands to help folk, not just when they were responding to 911 calls. I've seen it up close, repeatedly. But there are still far too many bad officers serving on police forces around the nation, and you can't train them to refrain from misbehaving, engaging in excessive force, being motivated by their worst, basest instincts to exercise power over others because it makes them feel good and strong and important. I'm sorry, you can't train that out of them, and you can't put regulations in place that will stop them from acting based on who they are. Thank you, friends, for listening to my thoughts, my views based on my experience working with police officers, my belief as to what real police reform can look like. Because, there's no justice if there's not equal justice for all, and there certainly was no equal justice for Tyre Nichols. We thought things might change. We thought there was a groundswell for police reform after George Floyd was murdered. And then it just sort of receded. Let's hope it doesn't take another George Floyd or Tyre Nichols for the powers that be to sit up and do the hard work of real police reform. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you soon.